Hi. So I got all inspired to do this little presentation on, we're calling it social connection because that was the report last year by the Surgeon General, 2023. Surgeon, we got our friends here. Thank you guys. Um, I love those guys. I would go talk to them, but I'm talking to you right now. Anyway, I'm glad they're here. Social connection. There we go. That's exactly what I mean. I don't know if you guys can hear the coyotes out there, but that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Uh, so the Surgeon General's report, 2023, the declining state of social connection in America. They have a number of graphs in there. I think they have 6 graphs. That of ways they can show that reflect our declining social connection, declining social relations. Okay, so this is a study. It's a research study, and when we do things in terms of a research study, we always have to narrow the context down to something where we can show some cause and effect. And if you narrow it correctly and put all your narrow little definitions together in certain ways, narrow enough, you can show anything, and that's what we do. But that's they did better than that. I mean, they have to narrow it down somewhat. All studies do. I mean, if you're going to show cause and effect, you're going to be a little constrained into compartmentalization and specialization somehow, which those things have problems, and lots of problems. If you follow some of my writings, talking to myself, so the problem mostly is that these studies and the people who do the studies and the people who teach how to do the studies and the people, right, everybody involved in all of this, really, they're not able to get larger gestalts of how this works. Okay? Sorry, guys. I know. That's why I don't have any friends anymore. My friends, professors, and blah, blah, blah. No, they don't want to talk to me. Anyway, so the larger gestalt. So, I was debating, where should I start with this? Should I start with the smaller gestalt or should I try to go to the larger gestalt right away? I thought, well, let's just go to the larger gestalt first. Okay, larger gestalt is how people related before what we would call human history, right? I think by the time human history came around, we were already significantly problematic with social connection. So we're going to have to start before then. So, one of the main points here is sharing. Okay, and they mention sharing 5 times in the report 2023, but I think 3 of those 5 times they're talking about it in sort of economic terms or other terms besides the kinds of sharing that might be valuable to all humans, more equally pertaining to everybody. Do we know what sharing is, really? And as far as the modern history of humans is, have we ever explored that? I'm sure some people have, probably in fiction, right? Because you won't find it in nonfiction. Yeah, lots of people talk about it. I know the best narcissists in the world talk about sharing very eloquently. Except when they get upset. Okay. So we're going for the larger gestalt, sharing before human history. We're going to be looking to anthropology for these things. cultures. Now we still have some cultures. Uh, they're not operating like they used to, but at least we can know something about their culture from their haggard and completely unraveled state that we put them in, taking them out of their indigenous lands and everything. I mean, the studies and statistics and demographics on this, they will wake you up. I think here in America, I think we've displaced the American Indians, Native Americans, from 95% of their original land. I read they in Oklahoma. I think they just got some back. Muskogee, I don't know. They probably got I think they got 3 million acres or something. Anyway, we displaced these people, and they're not going to be going back. I hear things. You read about some governments have given them some land back and allowed them to return to their land. But I'm pretty sure for every one that they give back, I'm pretty sure they're taking at least how many others away, right? It's like that. One step forward, many steps backwards. So anyway, but from these cultures, anyway, we can learn from them. So why did they think sharing was important? Okay. Let's start from there. I can't do the smaller gestalt. So I have to mention, in the Surgeon General's report, I mentioned they mentioned sharing 5 times. Okay. So they don't talk about sharing, though, the way these people do. We don't do sharing the way these people did. Okay? Not the same. So we got that distinction right there. Got to make that clear. So anyway, they talk about sharing. Right? Now they teach their children about sharing. There's so much interesting things that these people did. So one little thing, I think it was in a video, I'm pretty sure I saw, on the Baka people, South Congo, Cameroon area in Africa. Okay, so what do they got there? They don't have much left, but they talk about sharing, like this one thing with the kids. Okay, so they give all the kids a banana to share. They don't give one kid a banana to share. They give all the kids a banana to share. I mean, they start from this place. They start from a place that we don't know about. We're already many degrees of relationship removed from that. Many. Like, okay, like when we want to share things, we don't give a banana to everybody. We get one person and then they share. Pathetic. Sorry. That is our idealistic society. That there's an original cause, that there's an origin. We pin it down to this. This is the cause. Here's where it all started. No, that's idealistic. That's Platonic. I'm sorry. That's false. We'll get more into that, unfortunately. But, so they give all the kids a banana. Break it in half, share it with all the kids. Break it in half, share it with the kids. You keep breaking it down, there's nothing much left to share. But that's not important. Because you've made social connections. You've made trust by this kind of sharing. So we have a couple differences there. How they do sharing, and then what the sharing means to them, and how it operates in their society. Okay? We are many degrees removed from all of that. Just another example of how removed we are. Older cultures, they say things like meanings only have meanings by their relationship with other things. Things have no inherent existence. They only exist by their relationship with other things. And, we don't start from that place. Right? We're much more absolutist. No, it starts here. I know it starts. It starts with me. I start. I say. I say. I say who I am. Right? I make up who I am. Is that in any way going to be? Are you going to be able to do anything functionally, even remotely sustainable from that place? No. No, you can't start, and you're not going to get anywhere. In fact, we've been declining for so long, right? I mean, these idealistic, Platonic, absolutist ideas were famous and all throughout history. You've got Plato, the Greeks, but it's been debated, all through history, between this idealistic approach and the scientific empirical. Well, one guy told me empiricism was related to imperialism. I was like, that just stuck in my head. I'm like, actually those are mutually exclusive. Anyway, this is the kind of misrepresentation you find in American society. Okay, it's just like people who think about AI. Same thing, right? What do you know about AI? Do you know the number theory that computing is based on? Is that going to be sustainable to AI? If anybody thinks you know something about any of this stuff, please contact me. Anyway, so the sharing was much different. We don't start from sharing like that. Another quote from the Surgeon Generals. It's a great start. I'm so glad that came out. It has some problems, but it's great. Hey, if that hadn't come out, we'd be in a lot worse place. Okay. So but they did say, okay, got to hammer on them a little bit. I'm so critical. What did they say here? They said, what was that fucking statement that they said? Oh, here it is. Biological systems often do not operate independently. Well, what are they saying there? Like often they don't interrelate independently often? Like 50% of the time? What do you think? Biological systems interrelate, are interdependent 50% of the time? Like sometimes, maybe they mean sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. Is that what they mean? Do they know what they're fucking talking about? I don't think so. I know for a fact they don't, because they did the study, and I could see it's pretty limited. No, it's a great study. It's just, I'm very critical. That's for sure. Okay, so if you start from the statement, biological systems often do not operate independently. I mean, couldn't they have worded that better? I mean, they're often interrelated. Often? If you start from they're somewhat interrelated, everything that you do after that, every step that you try to operate, every understanding that you try to make after that, every application that you make from that point, okay, is going to lead you into a worse and worse outcome. You're not going to get better from that. You can't. And that's why I'm doing these videos. Because I don't operate independently from all this. Okay. Let's see. So, the older traditional societies, why were they so much better at sharing? And what did it mean to them that we have lost today? Because they talk about that in the report, about the meaning of these things. Okay. There's some great stuff in there. Here, just to cap on with that thought. Trust. Okay, trust. Okay. Broadly, it refers to an individual's expectation of positive intent and benevolence from the actions of others. Organizations, they have generalized trust, particularized trust, or institutional trust. Okay, fair enough. Okay, it informs behavior towards unknown people. Trust, the level of trust and behavior. Okay, what kind of behavior? To me, this falls short in a lot of ways. I'm very glad that we're starting to have these kinds of discussions. They do a lot at the end of the report. They talk a lot about deepening our knowledge, and that's the best. I think that was my most encouraging signs. There's a lot at the end of the report. I don't know. There's many little sections. They mentioned develop a cross-disciplinary research agenda, including basic translational, evaluation, and dissemination research that prioritizes systematically mapping out evidence gaps to ensure adequate evidence across all levels of the socio-ecological world, sectors of society, inclusion, diversity. I mean, you mentioned evidence gaps to me. My skin's already tingling. But anyway, I keep going back and forth between the larger Gestalt, which is what other older civilizations had. People that lived a long time ago had a larger Gestaltish perception, relationship, interaction, and application. Good example, when they used to be allowed to go into the rainforests where they used to live, some people still do, somewhat, although they're all threatened, some more than others. The Baka people are very threatened in the Congo region, and there's also the Bayaka and the Baka and Bayaka. So when they used to be able to go into the forest for 100,000 years, probably at least, so they had many purposes. Teaching the children about the forest, the plants. They know over like 300 edible plants and stuff, and knowledge about the animals, stuff like that. And they would also, plant things, in various places. So, but not for themselves, for the animals. Well, they would plant things for themselves too, but they would go throughout the forest planting and performing conservation practices a long time ago. Planting healthy foods for the animals, right? And, that's one place I saw they got into the deeper forest, right? That hadn't been touched yet. There's lots of butterflies and all kinds of things. Okay, I watched the video. They had two, one from 25 years ago, and one from, I don't know, when the guy went back, 25 years later. So you could see the drastic change in the forest over 25 years. The degradation, the loss of just, you could tell it was not as full of life as it was. And as they got deeper in the forest, you started to see more life, butterflies, other things. I didn't see butterflies anywhere else until they got deep in there. So their planting is affecting all these things, the pollinators, the animals. I guess in today's world, I guess you could say, yes, things don't operate independent. Often, how they say it? Things are often do not operate independently. Is that how they put it? But that's in today's world. In the real world, things always operate all the time, interrelated, interdependent. They're never not operating in that way, interexisting, intercommunicating, interbeing. Today we can say, not so much anymore. Okay, it used to be, but so they're right in that context. I'm glad I clarified that for myself. That's some tea to help calm me down, by the way. I hope it works. It usually works. So we got these two scenarios here, right? We got the Baka people. Okay, you got people in the Kalahari Desert. Not sure. I don't think they're allowed back in their indigenous lands. They're all being moved out. The Kofan people in Amazon, South America. I mean, the forests are all endangered, and it's not just from the logging and the mining and the roads built so people can get in for their prize game trophy hunting. It's not from the clear cutting of the forest for grazing. It's not only from those things. You see the effects of climate change there more. Why? Why would you see the climate change more in some places and less in others? Well, I used this example before, right? On a smaller network, like a body like mine, a tenth of a degree doesn't make much difference to me. Shit, 5 degrees doesn't make much difference to me. That's just me. But, a tenth of a degree in a human body, a little isolated, little network like this, but you extend a network out exponentially to the size of a planet, then a tenth of a degree has an exponentially larger effect. So we can see more biological networks in a system, larger, more densely interrelated, the effect shows up more. What's the most densely interrelated metabolic part of the body? The brain. What is affected most by inflammation? The brain. If you have inflammation in your knee, you have 330 to 300 times more inflammation in your brain. If you have inflammation in your stomach, or your liver, or your throat, or wherever, you have 30 times that much inflammation in your brain. That's because the brain has the most dense site of lymphocytes. 30 lymphocytes to every neuron, and those are not the same size, by the way. They forgot to mention this in the research they did. Okay, a neuron's a lot smaller than a lymphocyte, so there might be 30 times more, but they're also like, I don't know, like how much bigger is that? Right? That's like 20, 30, 40 times bigger, right? Who knows? Who cares, right? You're just going to have a lot more inflammation in your brain because it has a more dense biological, genetic, immunological network. So, the rainforest, remember? The rainforest is a much denser biological network. It's the most dense and the largest biological network. So, climate change shows up there more than anywhere else. You want to go see? Yeah, let's go. Let's go down the Congo. You can watch a video. Okay, see what's happening to the Kofan people's forests in South America. Yeah, it's not due to logging. That's causing a big problem, but there's much bigger problems. Anyway, let's go back to our smaller gestaltish subject for the video. I hope that herbs work fast. Okay. So it was a great report. I would like to see the subject of trust and sharing developed a lot more. You're not going to develop that from their definition of biological systems often do not operate independently. You're not going to understand sharing from that, from a contextualized viewpoint like that. You're not going to end up with sharing from that. Lots of great stuff in this report, man. Lots of great stuff in this report. You know, however, the best part about this report is they did something that I don't often see in research reports. The most often thing I see in research reports is, despite 20 years of serious research, very little is known about this subject. They're often more honest when they're writing for other researchers. This is for the public. This isn't it. But this is my notes. I take notes on shit. It just helps me. Okay. So we got the narrower gestalt and the wider gestalt. Is there such a thing as a narrow gestalt? Is that paradoxical? Are those mutually exclusive terms? Who cares? Okay, it's just a YouTube video. It's not like I'm going to be published or anything. It's not like, I have a team of fact checkers behind me in my closet. I wish I did. Anyway. So the report, I would just say, I just wrote this on there. To me, we have not contextualized what these things are adequately enough. That is inherent to our problem today. If we knew more about sharing, we would build better relations. It's just like everything else. Our contextualization and understanding of it is so important. How about learning? Do we know what learning is in humans and other species? We're working on it. We're working on it, but apparently there are some people who have figured that all out, and they've even put it into a computer. And the most important thing to know about this is that it will improve your company's performance to exploit and make more money. That relates to the this Surgeon General's report, because one, they mostly characterize social connection as a problem in economics, of course, but also in terms of health, the health outcomes. Here we go. It's not it. They talk about this across a lot of different areas. Okay. Here we go. Here's something. So they talk about it in these ways. So early in the report, maybe around page 20, 30. Okay. So it's a Surgeon General's team. Okay, so you got to figure they're mostly interested in health outcomes. Mostly. Thankfully, they did step out into some social paradigms a little. Some more of this tea. I think it is working now. Okay. So here's how they put it first. Social connection has these impacts on cardiovascular disease, hypertension, diabetes, infectious diseases, cognitive function. They did write. They had 50%, they said, decline in cognitive function due to poor social connection, depression and anxiety, suicidality, and self-harm. Those were all the categories they had for health parameters. They did go into a number of other things, along with social connection, the well-being of our communities, and they went that far. They did not mention families. I don't think. They probably did, somewhere. But communities, you see in there a lot. Government, social connectedness affects community outcomes. Again, safety, resilience, prosperity, of course, and representative governments. I mean, to me, it's still just so superficial, you know? I mean, to me, I mean, I don't know. I guess I have high expectations for relationships. I don't know why. I've never had a successful relationship ever. In fact, I didn't even have any need for people until I was like in my 40s. I didn't even know what social connection was till I was in my 40s, you know? I really didn't. I'm serious. No. I had no need for language or people or anything. In fact, these were just obstacles for me to get what I want. now look at me now. You can't shut me up. You know? Anyway, you know, that brings up the point, you know, of the older civilization. You know, they, you know, the sharing, the sharing was the means to social connection. You know, I had it just backwards, right? I didn't need the social connection, so I didn't need to share. I had a great family guidance and training in these areas. Like I'm sure a lot of us did. I know a lot of us did. I know. We pretty much all did because we're all living in this culture. And so we all pick it up. And unless it's sometimes when biological systems are not interrelating, you might not be experiencing that so much. But then when things are feeling more interrelated, it's going to be more unpleasant for you. Oh, okay. What else is in that tea? Okay. Anyway. Now, the thing why I started with this actually was because, you know, I was thinking with all these problems in social connection, I wonder how we're doing in our international relations. That's when you know, it's when I get that little extra little kick, you know, there's all these problems, and then international relations, you just get that next little. And then the hairs on my body just start talking to each other and shit. Did you hear what he said? What the fuck is he talking? He doesn't know shit. Shut that guy up. Okay. Anyway, so international relations. If we're having these many problems in this country with this, how do you think we're doing with our international relations? How do you think we're doing? There were some good lines in here. There's some great lines. But the line I'm looking for has to do with how social relations sharing. You know, goes back to economic development, employment, sharing of economic opportunities or information. You know, this is a lot of the ways we contextualize sharing. I'm not kidding. It's a narrowly contextualized way to share. So how is this affecting our international relations? And what about other countries' international relations? If they're having, how do you drink all the tea? Okay. So, I mean, if they're having these kinds of social problems, and then the context of relations is already this small, how are we doing international relations? How might we put sharing into the context of international relations? That's what got me going. Okay, well, you know, I don't know. I think that's good for today. Anyway, all right. Hey, take it easy. And share and share alike.